presented to us not in the strength of who they are, but in their weakness, because they needed a man to make it all the way. But I declare today that the devil is a liar. That although Rebecca was barren, it was God that opened her womb. Although Hannah was barren, it was God that gave her a son. Hallelujah. Although Bathsheba was bathing, God made her queen. If we would just trust God and know that God has given us the power to make things happen, we would be all right. And here we come with Hagar, another woman needing a savior. They had taken advantage of her because she was a slave, brought her into their mess. Talked about it a little bit on Wednesday. Y'all shared the story with y'all. She was given to Abraham by Sarai, and they got together and did what was necessary. Sure. Amen. She had a son, and the word says that she began to mistreat Sarah. And I explained to you that maybe it wasn't because she was haughty, as I've heard others preach. Maybe it was because she was disappointed, because maybe she thought they had a different kind of relationship. Maybe she was mad because she was having a child that wouldn't be her own. There's a lot of reasons that she could have been mistreating Sarah. Let's not lean toward things that make her look negative.
All right.
It got so bad that she ran away. When she ran away, God met her in the wilderness, asked her, "Where are you going, Hagar? Where have you come from and where are you going?" Then he told her to go back. And I talked about how I was confused by that, because why would God send her back to that place where she was being mistreated? But he didn't send her back empty-handed. He sent her back with a promise so that she could endure what she needed to endure, so that she could get to the gift that God has for her. And so she went back and she submitted. And for 14 years, her and her son lived in the company of Abraham and Sarah, until Sarah had her own son, Isaac. Now, once she had her own son, she had no need for Hagar and Ishmael, whom probably called her mama, whom probably she looked at as her own child. But once she had her own, completely dismissed them because she didn't need them anymore. We've got to be careful how we treat people. We got to be careful how we treat people, because when we do things to them, God does things for them, because God's got us all covered. So Sarah, after she has Isaac, then goes to Abraham and says, "Listen, you need to get rid of these two, because her son Ishmael would not inherit with my son Isaac." And I want to stop right there and tell you to make sure you go back and read the 21st chapter of Deuteronomy. We say we know the whole Bible. We say we love the whole Bible, but truth be told, many of us haven't read it all. So if you would read that, it says that when a man has two wives, one loved and the other hated, and they both give him sons, but the firstborn is from the hated wife, at the time he divides the inheritance with his sons, he must not treat the son of the loved wife as firstborn. Are you listening? Cutting out the son of the hated wife, who is the actual firstborn. No, he must acknowledge the inheritance rights of the real firstborn, the son of the hated wife, giving him a double portion of the inheritance as proof of his virility. The rights of the firstborn belong to him. And so she understood that if Ishmael had stayed, there were some rights and privileges that he would have gotten in spite of how God was going to bless Isaac. And because she did not want him to share in that inheritance, she sent them away. She did not want Ishmael to be a part of the blessing. We know about these first wives and these second wives. We remember Leah and Rachel and how he loved Rachel, but her womb was closed. And so he went into Leah and she had all of these children, but he still loved Rachel. We know about Hannah and Peninnah and Elkanah giving Peninnah a portion, but giving Hannah a double portion, even though she didn't have children. So God wanted us to make sure that we did the right thing the right way at the right time. Because it's never the child's fault. I want to bless somebody right now. It's never the child's fault. Sometimes we get in situations and children appear and we want to take it out on the child, but it is not the child's fault. And let us not blame children for the things that adults do. And so he sent them away. Sarah rejected Hagar, rejected her gift, rejected the child that she had. And then once she rejected her, he removed her. That would be Abraham, who went and prayed to God because this thing was vexing him. And I often wonder, was it that he didn't want to send Ishmael away, or was it that he didn't want to send Hagar away? Well, y'all can take that. But it vexed him to the point that he went and he prayed to God. And God told him, do whatever Sarah tells you to do, because I'm going to take care of Ishmael. And I like it because God is always going to honor the wife. I'm trying to help somebody right now who got their eyes on somebody else's husband. God is going to always honor. You may not have agreed with it, but God honored.
Come on.
Come on. Be caught up in a situation where you think you're going to win. God honors.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
God said, do what your wife.
All the wives said, amen.
Has told you to do.
Amen.
And so Abraham got some bread, a skin of water, and he sent the two of them away. They wound up again in the wilderness. This is her second time in the wilderness. The first time Hagar ran away, she was pregnant and alone and would have been considered a runaway slave, which was punishable by death. And so God sent her back with a promise. But I like that God met her in her movement. Some of us are looking for God to meet us in our stillness. And while we're waiting on God, God is waiting on us. But I would declare that when you've had enough, and when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you decide to do something new, something different that you've never done before, that God will meet you in your movement. It's time to stop crying and praying and crying. God has heard your prayers, but faith without works is dead. And sometimes we need a little more working to go along with our faith. And so God met her in her movement. And that was the first time, sent her back with a promise. But now she's in the wilderness for the second time. Anybody had a second wilderness experience, or a third or a fourth or a fifth? Hagar, we are taught, was put out. We are taught that she was kicked out with not enough provision even to make it back to Egypt, which is where she was on her way to. But I would like to throw another possibility in with my preaching counterparts who say that she was put out and that she was kicked out. I wonder if we could use our sanctified imaginations to imagine that it was not in fact that she was kicked out or put out, but maybe after being rejected by her and removed by him, it was really a release.